Shalom. Call halal Yahweh by Shem Shai by Hashem Rakak. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. To my fellow yoke mates, the Akim that are doing this work on the four corners of the earth, to the scattered elect that be like unto the speckled bird that are scattered among the heathens, often looking like the heathens, and to the Akwaf that are listening and learning. To you I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you with another lesson. And this was a lesson, a re-upload of a re-upload. I forget which brother did this video originally, but Apostle Tahar reloaded it up onto his page, and it's called "They Hate the KJV Because We Israelites Teach from It." And they talk about other books and other translations. Look, since America's inception, they've been swearing presidents in on the King James Bible. Not the NIV, the LLT, not the Geneva, even though the Geneva Bible pretty much says word for word almost the same as the KJV. But the KJV also contained the Apocrypha, which has very pertinent and condemning history to these Edomites, which is why you had the Bible Destruction Group, which operated between 1700s and up into the 1800s. It was almost like a 100-year period, which sought to remove the Apocrypha from the Bible, because the Apocrypha exposes who Edom is. That it exposes that the people who refer to themselves as Greeks can actually be traced back to Edom, that they're not the real Greeks. They're really Idumeans, Edomites. As a matter of fact, Alexander of Macedonia, his line goes directly back to Amalek. And the Lord said he would have war with Amalek from generation to generation. All right. Then they try to use the Apocrypha. Vocab alone, Dr. James White, the Edomite, tried to use the Apocrypha to prove that the Edomites were done away with. But yet they said that the Apocrypha is not inspired by the canon, that it wasn't inspired by God, it was written by man. Well, the Bible was written by man, but it was inspired from the Most High. All right? There were a great company of men. I think it was over 70, King James had over 70 different interpreters interpret the Bible in the Hebrew and the Greek, and write it and cross-examine one another. And they didn't even know, all these scholars didn't know each other to authenticate it, because he wanted to get it out of the Latin, because Latin is the language of the wicked people, of the ones who serve Shaitan, who you call Satan or Lucifer. All right? Because if you notice, all witchcraft is chanted in what? In Latin. What does the Catholic Church speak? In Latin. What is the language of heaven? Hebrew. Remember the book of Acts, when the Lord said his name, he said it in the Hebrew tongue. That's in Acts, the 26th chapter, around the 14th, 15th verse. All right, so this Edomite right here basically tries to discredit, and this is a Jewish Edomite on top of that, a converted, a convert, Khazar. And as a matter of fact, let me grab this book that's behind me. All right, because it's so, where are you? That one, not that one. Salakia. There we are. This book right here by William Beeston. Okay? There are plenty of Jewish scholars and rabbis that have way more books behind them than this guy. Because, Esau loves, like the apostle said in the video, loves to sit in front of a shelf full of books to make it look as if he just so learned. All right? When the truth of the matter is, all you really need is the Bible. And you can grab a couple of encyclopedias and match up the history word for word. So here is a reprint word for word from William Beeston, a Cambridge scholar, by the way, and it's called The Roman Empire of the Edomites. And who was the Romans descended of? The Greeks, the imposter Greeks, that is, of being those of Alexander of Macedon, and the Bible proves that they are indeed Edomites. Okay, but here on page 9, all right, it reads, okay, that this grand secret was certainly discovered and disclosed more than 1,200 years ago, and the answer to the question whence came the Romans may have been returned and even registered in writing before the birth of Hamashiach, that the response proceeded neither from Greek nor from Roman, but from the despised Jew. They were Amalekites, Amalek. That it has been preserved to us in Jewish targums that exist amidst the fables and impieties and absurdities and the blasphemies of the Jewish Talmud. And this is why they hate the Bible indeed. All right. And that it may be comprehended in these 20 words. The Romans came from Esau, who is Edom, and Italy is Idumea, Rome, the Basra of the Hebrew prophets. Basra is who? The Edomites. Okay? And there are prophecies about the destruction of the Lord, that the Lord is going by the Lord of Basra, of Esau, Edom. So how can they be done away with? All right? If a whole race of people was exterminated off the face of the earth, there'd be movies and books and relics and all manner of evidence to prove that. It never happened because it's going to happen. Okay, so let's just go into the scriptures. No, actually, let's let this imposter say what he's going to say.
This is 4 minutes and 23 seconds in of an 18-minute video, or 18-minute 40-second video. And he goes into translations. He said you have so many translations of translations, and you get, there's a term called lost in translation. Well, it's good he said that, because through translations you get lost. That's why you have to go back to the original Hebrew and or the original Greek, which actually the 4 Gospels were not written in Greek. They were first written in Hebrew, because Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John were Israelite Jews, if you will. Anyway, this is what he said. I'm gonna let you listen to what he said, and I'm gonna see where the Spirit takes me. You know, these when I see all these videos, if you notice, a lot of these Edomites, so-called Jews, so-called experts, they're popping up all over the place because they're trying to put a spirit. They're trying to debunk what we're teaching. They're putting out that spirit that, you know, we don't know what we're talking about. The King James Bible is not all that accurate, and they know that we go into the Hebrew, and they know that we go into other versions of the Bible. A version of the Bible that's older than King James was the Geneva Bible, and I read through that, and it pretty much says the same thing. So had we used the I don't know, any other, let's say we known as going into the Geneva Bible, which the Geneva Bible, there was 2 versions written. There was one, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I actually put my hands on the actual copy of a Geneva Bible in one library, which I don't remember which library I went to, but it was I went through it, so I remember the Geneva Bible. Anyway, the Geneva Bible was first published in what was it? It was 1560. Then there was another version published 30 years later in 1590. So we're talking about comparing to the King James. The King James is 1611. So we're talking 40 plus years later. That's when the King James came on the scene. Anyway, let you listen to this individual right here. Listen closely.
On the King James version, every translation is inherently a commentary. You can't translate a word without choosing this word over that word.
Now, he said that the King James version is a commentary. It's not a commentary. It's actual words.
So that was he said that the King James version is a commentary. All right. So basically what he's saying is you can't take it literally, which is a lie, because when you go into the Hebrew and the Greek, it breaks it down perfectly. All right. So here, and I'm going to read through a group of scriptures and prophecies as to why they want to discredit or don't like it. And the first one here is Job 30:30, and it reads, "My skin is black upon me, my bones are burned with heat." All right, and the precept to that is Lamentation 4:8. All right, and we're gonna read that. So I'm looking at his skin. All right, because this is a physical description of the Jews. All right, and the fact that Job, and anyone who wants to say Job was an Edomite, that's just madness, because the precept is Lamentations 4:8, and we know that Lamentation is talking about the Jews. So let's go to the book of Lamentation. All right, well, should we say the Judeans, because they didn't call themselves Jews. That's practically a new term. All right, but this is Lamentation 4:8, and it reads, "Their visage," all right, meaning when you look at them, "their visage is blacker than a coal. They are not known in the streets. Their skin cleaveth to their bones. It is withered. It become like a stick." So, and then it says appearance. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put that in the camera. It says their skin is blacker than a coal. Now look at him. All right. And let's see what the Bible actually says. And remember, the Geneva matches up with it. All right. You see that? Appearance. Their visage, meaning their skin. When you look at them, their appearance. Okay? Now let's look at him. Yeah, there's the scriptures that talk about the woolly hair too, and the hair like the wool. And he's not matching that either. So, I mean, Esau striking out here. All right, this is Lamentation 5:2. It says, "Our inheritance is turned to strangers, our houses to aliens." All right, so it's saying that the land of Israel is turned to strangers. Let's get the prophecy of when and how and who was going to do that. Okay? So let's go ahead and go into the book of, is it in Ezekiel? Where that is? Yeah, this is Ezekiel 36:5, and it reads, "Therefore thus saith Yahweh power, surely in the fire of my jealousy I have spoken against the residue of the heathen and against all Idumea." All right? Because these Edomites put that Greek word Idumea into the New Testament. All right? And we just read from the scholar from 1853, all right, that the Idumeans were Basra, the Romans, the Greeks, were Edomites. And we know that they were set up by Alexander of Macedonia, who today is called Alexander the Great. We call him Alexander the Creep. And Alexander the Creep was an Amalekite, like this guy. You know, I don't know if he's a regular Edomite or if he's an Amalekite, but he's definitely a converted Jew, which has nothing to do with being an Israelite. As a matter of fact, one of the definitions of Israeli is modern day, a modern day citizen of the land of Israel. And then you read Israelite, and it's one of the 12 tribes. Two different things. All right. And it says, "Against all Idumea, which have appointed my land into their possession, with the joy of all their heart, with the spiteful minds to cast it out for a prey." Okay? So the Lord, if you go read on, it tells you that he's going to bring his fury and destruction against them. And guess who's sitting over in the land of Israel? The Lord didn't put them there. Hey, look, the prophecy says when the Israelites go back to the land of Israel, it's going to be peace on earth. There's been more wars on this planet since those people went over there. Why? Because they are warlike people. And the land is not blessed. It's barren. They have to import vegetables and trees and all sorts of manner of things. All right, and then they would keep the laws and statutes. They wouldn't have a pink city and the biggest LBGT parade on the planet if the Israelites were there. They'd be doing, and it says that the Israelites would be ruling over all the people on the earth. Okay, complete dominion. If they had complete dominion, there wouldn't be any wars. So they're failing when it comes to the prophecies. Once again, this is why they hate the King James Bible. Let's go over to chapter 35. This is Ezekiel 35:5. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. That was after slavery. All right. Therefore, as I live, saith Yahweh power, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. So we entering in the time where the blood is about to pursue Esau, Edom, man. Okay? Let's get another scripture. This is Isaiah 34:8. It says, for it is the day of the Yahweh's vengeance and the year of recompenses for the controversy of Zion. That means there's a controversy of Zion is who they are. Zion meaning monument. All right? So the whole point of the Lord of returning is to end the controversy of who Zion is. Now, so that and then the prophecy said that that the Esau, Edom, Idumeans would appoint the land into their own possession. 1 + 1 is 2. No matter how many equations Esau put up on the internet to say it's 3. These people are the biblical Edomites. All right, and besides, the Israels wore the crown of their head exposed, not covered. See, the Edomite does everything contrary to what the Bible says. That's why even in the Catholic Bible, they have the Apocrypha, but they amazingly removed the book of 1st and 2nd Esdras, which talks about the end of Esau, Edom. All right? And there's a bunch of things in the book of Esdras that exposes Esau, Edom. But in the Bible, even in the Old Testament, they like to try to cleave on to the Torah, but the Torah cuts them up just as much as the New Testament. There's no way out of this, man. All right. Isaiah 34 and 2. For the indignation of Yahweh is upon all nations. His fury is upon all their armies. He have utterly destroyed them. He have delivered them to the slaughter. All right. So that never happened. And then it tells you that Esau is a part of this. All right. As we keep reading. So these people come with this, well, the Edomites were destroyed. That's a lie. They just don't want to be Esau, Edom. Esau, Edom is claimed to be everyone. He's claimed to be the Greeks who are Japhet. All right, he's claimed to be the Israelites, who are the Negroes, the so-called Negroes who came over here on the slave ships, was mostly the tribe of Judah. The ones that went into the Caribbeans was Benjamin and Levi. All right, those 3 tribes, which the Romans ignorantly called the Jews, or the Judeans, because they couldn't tell a Benjamite and a Levite from a Judite. But anyway, verse 5, Isaiah 34:5, all right? Because it was talking about the nations, but then it points out specifically Esau. For my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea and upon the people of my curse to judgment. Verse 6, for the sword of Yahweh is filled with blood. It is made fat with the fatness, with the blood of lambs and goats, with the fat of the kidneys of rams. For the Lord have a sacrifice in Basra, and a great slaughter in the land of Idumea. Hey, it ain't looking too good for you Edomites, man. As the world is collapsing around you. One more in the last scripture. Let's go to Jeremiah. Get a prescription of, a description of Judah, of the Jews. All right. This is Jeremiah 14:2, and it reads, Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languish. They are black unto the ground. And when you look that word up in the Hebrew, the word there is kadar, which means dark skin. Look at this guy. All right, comparing them to being someone who was really dark brown. This guy fell miserably. So with that, I hope this was an edifying lesson. Call halal Yahweh Hashem al Shai Ba'Shem Rakak Wadash Wa Abba Babal. Shalom.